When Rishi Sunak cancelled the second leg of HS2, he promised the money would be reinvested around the country. And at the same time as he gave his conference speech, his government released this document. Now, the report is called Network North, and it shows the various transport routes around the country Sunak has promised to upgrade with that HS2 money. Now, as you can see, it already looks a bit odd because apparently Network North includes multiple transport projects on the south coast. And these aren't projects connecting the south coast to the north, which would make a bit more sense. Now, these are just, bus or rail services within places such as Plymouth. So I don't know why that would be called Network North. But anyway, it gets worse because a considerable number of the upgrades the document promised had already been announced, and some had in fact been completed a decade ago. Now, one example, point 47 in the document, now it suggests that £4 billion earmarked for northern cities could pay to extend Manchester's Metrolink tram line to Manchester Airport. Now, there's a problem with this. The tram link to Manchester Airport opened in 2014, as the Manchester Evening News points out here. Now, they included a picture of a tram heading to the airport in case anyone in Sunak's team didn't believe them. As well as releasing that document, the government made a slew of announcements on the website of Network North, so this new thing they've just launched. And those announcements included this: reopening stations. Communities in the northeast will be reconnected, including a new station at Ferry Hill, County Durham. The Leamside line, closed in 1964, will also be reopened. Now, that raised the hopes of people who lived between Pellow and Gateshead and Turnsdale in County Durham, where the line used to run. Yet 24 hours later, they confirmed that the Leamside line would not be reopened. In response, the chief executive of the Northern Powerhouse Partnership said this: "If this is what they have done and they have gone back on their word, how can we believe anything else that they have said in the last week? How can the Prime Minister have any credibility on the commitments he has made? If they don't honour their commitments made on this, it would be significant evidence of a betrayal of the north of England." And that wasn't the only transport U-turn the government has made this week. On the morning of Sunak's speech, Grant Shapps said this:
"The other thing to remember is we still see HS2 trains, regardless of these decisions, roll into Manchester Piccadilly station and actually to Leeds as well."
So the promise there was that while there will be no new high-speed tracks to Leeds and Manchester, both cities would get high-speed trains. So high-speed trains just running on the existing track. But fast forward 24 hours later, and Leeds Live reported this: HS2 trains won't come to Leeds as government abandons a £100 million review. So again, in the morning, we said, don't worry, Leeds, you know HS2 is not going to go there or Manchester, but the trains will come. So they'll be running on existing track, which, to be honest, sort of takes away the whole point of the thing, because HS2 track was about increasing capacity. So having a new train on the same old track doesn't increase capacity, but I suppose a new train is better than an old train. But even that sort of consolation prize was taken away from Leeds 24 hours later. Nick Ferrari on LBC summarised Sunak's mess.
The front page map of the prospectus puts Manchester where Preston is. They've got the cities wrong. It says new funding to Greater Manchester could see the Metrolink tram network extended to Manchester Airport. That was opened in 2014. Labour analysis of Sunak's promises found the vast majority, 85%, have already been promised or committed to already during 13 years in power. In a video to promote Network North, Sunak said he would quadruple the number of trains between Sheffield and Leeds. Travel journalist Simon Calder from The Independent pointed out there are already 5 per hour each way. 5 per hour. If he quadrupled, they'll be queuing up. The trains will be waiting for the passengers. Who put this together? Was this a primary school project? Dear God, there are 10 of them that the Guardian highlight. I'll finish with one. Network North committed to upgrading the A259 from Bognor Regis to that well-known northern city of Southampton. But yesterday ministers admitted they didn't mean that. They didn't mean Southampton. They meant Littlehampton, which is still on the south coast, 45 miles away. Okay, so this is an absolute masterstroke.
How has this been able to happen, right? So you've got someone who's stood up at his party conference and cancelled, a multi-billion-pound project, which has been 14 years in the works, and he's replaced it with sort of a set of ideas and plans, which presumably were written on the back of a fag packet in the hotel the night before he gave the speech.
I mean, it's like he's put it through ChatGPT or something, like write me a kind of transport plan for the north of England, and it has the loosest interpretation of the north of England is the first thing, and ideas that already exist. It's just bizarre, and I think this is a good kind of like story that epitomizes where the Conservative Party at, where we lack ideas and crucially we lack competence and common sense. I mean, none of this makes sense. Like, how can you scrap a project of the nature of HS2 and put in place something like this? To put in place a project that's going to cost apparently 36 billion pounds, you need to think these things through. You can't just announce these things on a whim. And that's what's happened, and that's why it makes no sense, and that's why it's laughable. So I think Sunak and the Conservatives are just incompetent. They lack the talent to lead a country. They lack the talent to invest in our infrastructure, and they lack the talent to deliver and even kind of put together a document on a huge infrastructure project that's convincing in any way. I mean, it looks like something that my 11-year-old cousin would put through ChatGPT, deliver, and present in a school assembly or something. It's just ridiculous. It really is. I mean, she probably do a better job from Sunak and the government, actually. Let me not talk her down. So it's just absolutely ridiculous what the government's proposing here. And I really, really worry for some of the other stupid ideas we're going to hear between now and the general election, because if this is kind of like a taste of what's to come, then we're going to be laughing a lot in Novara, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is when he was saying all this shit, he was standing on a lectern that said long-term decisions for a brighter future. This whole point of like, I'm here making the long-term brave decisions. It's not a long-term decision to say you're going to build something that was built 10 years ago. It's not a long-term decision to say you're going to build a train line between two cities where you get the names of the cities wrong. So it doesn't actually make any sense. I think in the map, he'd actually put Manchester in the wrong place as well. So you can say a number of things about his transport plan, but clearly there was not much long-term thinking done, presumably because it had been written in about 48 hours. So it was all about PR. There was no brave long-term decision there.